In the last 3 videos, since I've been talking about Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, I've been talking about Russia and the huge Gazprom pipeline that's going to go from Russia through Mongolia, which is Magog and Gog, into China, the dragon. And then the last video I was telling you about the dealings inside Ukraine with Hunter Biden and also with China. And I also mentioned that Zelensky was going to speak this coming week sometime before the Israeli Knesset, and of course dealing with wanting to make peace and all of that, so in Jerusalem. So it's very interesting, and I just wanted to make this Hunter Biden connection with what's going on right now with, the pipeline was shut down to Germany from Russia, and so something went on with Hunter Biden in Ukraine that was covered up. And I just want to share some of this information that he was connected with this Chinese firm, first of all, and this was written in Newsmax. It said that Hunter Biden still listed as an owner of Chinese firm. Hunter Biden was listed as an owner of a Chinese government-linked investment firm nearly 4 months after his lawyer said that President Joe Biden's son had divested completely from the venture. The Washington Examiner reported, business records from China's National Credit Information Publicity System assessed Tuesday showing Skanetalis, an LLC wholly owned by Biden, as a 10% owner in BHR Partners, the Examiner reported. Washington, D.C. business records continued to list Biden as the only beneficial owner of Skanetalis, the Examiner said. Biden lawyer Chris Clark in November told the New York Times that his client no longer holds any interest directly or indirectly in either BHR or Skanetalis. Joe Biden, as the Democrat presidential nominee in 2020, insisted that nobody in his family would have any business relationships with foreign corporations or countries if he won. A president-elect in December 2020, Joe Biden said his family members would not be involved in any business, any enterprise that is in conflict with or appears to be in conflict with an appropriate distance from the presidency and government. The Washington, D.C. Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs told the Examiner on Tuesday that there had been no filings submitted for Skanetalis since October 20th, when a 2-year report for the company was filed that listed Biden as the sole governor. The Examiner added that based on a DCRA report, Skanetalis was listed as revoked in the agency's online business registry because a $300 reinstatement fee has not yet been paid for the LLC. Regarding BHR, the Examiner did say that it was possible China's business registry hadn't been updated to reflect a potential transfer or sale of Skanetalis' 10% stake to another party. George Mazaris, another lawyer for Biden, disclosed in an October 2019 statement that Biden joined the BHR board after it was founded in 2013 and obtained his 10% stake in the firm in October 2017 for approximately $420,000 through Skanetalis, the Examiner reported, although Mazeres said his client has not yet received any compensation for being on BHR's board of directors. Emails from Hunter Biden's alleged laptop, as reported by the Daily Caller, showed that he was informed by his business partner in November of 2018 to expect a significant distribution. In 2019, due to BHR's lucrative exit from Chinese battery manufacturer CATL. China's National Credit Information Publicity System showed that Biden's name was removed from the BHR's board of directors in April 2020. BHR, which claims to manage the equivalent of $2.4 billion, is co-owned by the Bank of China. Okay, so Hunter Biden was listed as a governor of BHR. So BHR is co-owned by the Bank of China. Does this make these people treasonous traitors? Yes, it does. Now that's Hunter Biden's dealing in China and being invested in this business dealings there. And it said Hunter Biden was still listed as an owner of the Chinese firm. Now, since this situation is going on between Russia and the pipeline going to China, and now you've got Ukraine, which has the Mongolian cities in it, dealing with this, let's look now at Hunter Biden's dealings in Ukraine. And this was posted in the dailymail.co.uk. This was posted February 4th of 2022. This says, revealed, U.S. diplomat in Kiev sent classified email in 2016 warning that Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine undercut the anti-corruption message his vice president father was advancing. It says, a classified 2016 State Department email written by former U.S. diplomat George Kent was published this week. In the email, Kent warned that Hunter Biden's Ukraine dealings undercut the anti-corruption message the VP and we were advancing in the country. The email was kept from public view for 5 years. It was obtained by Just the News and published this week. The email was published one day after the New York Times sued the State Department for allegedly withholding emails involving Hunter Biden that were sent or received by officials at the U.S. Embassy in Romania. Republicans are threatening to make Hunter Biden testify before Congress if they take back the House of Representatives in the midterm elections. His business in Ukraine played a central role in former President Donald Trump's first impeachment in 2019. Hunter Biden also has created an ethics headache for the Biden White House when he joined the art world last year, selling paintings for $500,000. The email dated November 22nd, 2016, was written by George Kent, who was at the time the Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine. The Harvard-educated diplomat detailed a discussion about a saga surrounding the case against Mykola Zayachevsky, a former Ukrainian natural resources minister and founder of Burisma Holdings, which paid Hunter Biden $1 million a year to sit on its board, according to the email. Now, this is a gas company, Burisma. Kent was one of the Democrats' key witnesses in their first successful attempt to impeach former President Donald Trump in 2019. However, his email said that the real issue to my mind was that someone in Washington needed to engage VP Biden quietly and say that his son Hunter's presence on the Burisma gas board undercut the anti-corruption message the VP and we were advancing in Ukraine. Kent went on to say that Ukrainians heard one message from us and then saw another set of behavior with the family association with a known corrupt figure whose company was known for not playing by the rules in the oil and gas sector. Kent had previously testified behind closed doors that he raised concerns about Hunter Biden's business dealings with Burisma in 2015, according to reports. The classified email was sent to a former State Department official, Jorgen Andrews, and other people whose names are blacked out. It was not produced during impeachment proceedings in 2019, just the news reported. Kent had previously testified behind closed doors that he raised concerns about Hunter Biden's business dealings with Burisma in 2015. The email labeled confidential was sent to former State Department official Jorgen Andrews and others whose names were blacked out. On Monday, the New York Times sued the State Department for allegedly dragging its feet in handling over emails from Romanian embassy officials connected to Hunter Biden and his former business associate, Tony Bobulinski. The lawsuit filed Monday in Manhattan federal court seeks emails dating from 2015 to 2019. The Times alleges that the State Department is failing to address its Freedom of Information Act request in a timely manner. When the Times asked when the State Department would get around to the request, the paper was told to expect an answer on April 15th of 2023. The Times appears to be looking into whether embassy personnel did any special favors on behalf of business officials, including the president's son and Bobulinski. Joe Biden was serving as vice president for 2 of the years the emails cover, from 2015 to 16. Emails on Hunter's abandoned laptop obtained by DailyMail.com in 2021 reveal how Joe Biden's son and his colleagues leveraged over U.S. government connections and plotted a propaganda campaign for grafting Romanian tycoon Gabriel Popoviciu. Under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, anyone advocating for foreign entities to U.S. government officials or acting as a publicist for a foreign entity in the U.S. must add themselves to a Department of Justice public register. However, an exception applies for attorneys representing a client in a foreign court case who are not required to register under FARA. Emails show Hunter's colleagues, Chris Boyce and Michael Gottlieb, partners in the law firm Boyce, Schiller, Flexner, were seeking to set up meetings with the U.S. ambassador to Romania after discussing among themselves whether he would intervene in Popoviciu's case. Hunter brought in political heavyweight and family friend Louis Freeh, the former director of the FBI, to use his U.S. law enforcement contacts for Popoviciu's advantage and was offered a referral fee as a result. Hunter and his colleagues also discussed a media campaign, including to major U.S. publication, The Wall Street Journal, to support their client, who was later found guilty of bribery. None of them were required to register for this work under FARA due to various exemptions, including those for lawyers of foreign defendants. The FOIA also seeks information on Rudy Giuliani, who was dispatched by former President Trump to dig up dirt on Hunter Biden's business relationships with Ukraine. Okay, so let's just take a look at this company, Burisma, in Ukraine, that Hunter Biden was dealing with and being a part of. It says Burisma Company Holdings Limited is a holding company for a group of energy exploration and production companies. It is registered in Limassol, Cyprus, but based in Kiev, Ukraine. Burisma Holdings has operated in the Ukrainian natural gas market since 2002. It is one of the largest private natural gas producers in Ukraine. So what we had here in the Daily Mail article said that Mykola Ziochevsky, a former Ukrainian natural resources minister and founder of Burisma Holdings Company, which paid Hunter Biden $1 million a year to sit on its board, according to the email. So this was one of the largest private natural gas producers in Ukraine, which is now at war with Russia. And Joe Biden is now the president and shut down the pipelines here. And they were involved in Ukraine in the natural gas company Burisma. And you don't think that they didn't know what's going on now. And there was deliberate assault on our pipeline so that we could not get our own natural gas. Now let's add this Fox News article written by Holly McKay, and this was posted November 18th of 2019. What is Burisma Holdings? The story behind the scandal-tied Ukraine firm that hired Hunter Biden. Burisma Holdings has been thrust into the media limelight as the Democratic-controlled House presses forward with its impeachment inquiry into President Trump's dealings in Ukraine. But lost in much of the coverage of the dramatic hearings is what this Ukrainian natural gas firm actually does, and the controversy it's generated in the past beyond the now and well-known fact that Hunter Biden served on its board, thus arousing the suspicion of the Trump White House and touching off the series of events leading to impeachment proceedings. While both sides of the aisle fiercely debate the propriety of the younger Biden's role, the company itself has long been tied to controversy. Burisma's reputation in Ukraine is low and was dubious before the impeachment inquiry due to the scandals surrounding the owner, Igor Egorov, the president of the Kiev-based nonprofit anti-corruption entrepreneurial front, told Fox News, underscoring that it hasn't stopped the company from financial growth. Burisma is among the top 5 oil drilling and production companies and planned to drill 21 new wells in 2019, expanding its production capabilities, Igorov said. Burisma Holdings controls many companies in the oil and gas industry. The group was successful due to relations with authorities. Now, would this company, Burisma, have anything to do with Vladimir Putin, that owns the giant natural gas company, Gazprom, coming into Ukraine, to the very city of Kiev, where this very company, Burisma, is located? And, they're saying that they had corruption going on here at Burisma. The White House embroilment unraveled in late September following a whistleblower complaint which raised alarms that Trump may have withheld military aid to Ukraine in pressuring the newly elected Volodymyr Zelensky government to investigate Hunter Biden's recent role as a Burisma board member. So Trump was trying to get Volodymyr Zelensky to investigate Hunter Biden's role in Burisma, natural gas company. All of this is making so much more sense, isn't it? As I'm putting the pieces together here, Hunter Biden joined the board after being discharged from the Navy Reserve for drug use, at a time when Burisma was engulfed in corruption investigation woes, and at a time when his father, Joe Biden, as VP, was leading the Obama administration's effort to curb Ukraine's endemic corruption. He stepped down in April when Biden announced his 2020 presidential aspirations. So he knew that he had to close down shop before all of this would come into play so that he wouldn't get caught. Trump and his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, have repeatedly made the accusation that Biden inappropriately leveraged his White House position to have Viktor Shokin, then Ukraine's leading prosecutor, fired in March 2016 to avoid implicating Hunter in corruption investigations. Joe Biden's campaign has vigorously disputed this, saying he urged the firing for the exact opposite reason. Shokin wasn't doing enough. Nevertheless, Burisma is on the Washington map amid the cloud of controversy. Burisma is better known in the U.S. than in Ukraine, said Alexander Paraski, the head of research at Kiev-based investment firm Concord Capital. Experts know that the company belongs to former minister of Yanukovych government, and taking into account that Yanukovych has a poor reputation, so does founder Mykola Zayachevsky. So who did Hunter Biden serve during his lucrative position, earning upwards of $50,000 per month? Burisma was founded in 2002 by oligarch Mykola Zayachevsky, who was closely aligned to the now exiled former Ukrainian president Viktor Yanukovych. Zayachevsky served as the Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources from July 2010 until April 2012, and then as Deputy Secretary for Economic and Social Security until February 2014, when the notoriously pro-Russian Yanukovych was forced to flee to Moscow. Soon after, Zayachevsky himself absconded when Ukraine's prosecutor general put him on the country's watch list and opened numerous probes into his practices and multitude of businesses flanked by allegations of money laundering and tax evasion. Moreover, questions have long swirled as to how he granted licenses for the development of mineral deposit extraction during his government post. Zayachevsky was suspected of violations while providing gas production licenses and permits to his own companies. Parachaysky explained, emphasizing that even after Biden's tenure on the board, he doubted that the image has changed. Ukrainian records, according to the Wall Street Journal, show that Burisma's two main subsidiaries were awarded their exploration permits during Zayachevsky's official reign. His assets were frozen in the UK, but citing a lack of evidence produced by the Serious Fraud Office, the Central Criminal Court in London later discharged the order. Nonetheless, Burisma's website touts that it is the first and only fully integrated gas operator in Ukraine engaged in the exploration, production, processing, transportation, and final sale of hydrocarbons, and has 35 licenses in all major basins in Ukraine, and paid some $24.6 million in taxes over the past 2 years. It has also, using Hunter Biden's image, promoted its desire to expand outside Ukraine. Burisma Holdings did not respond to a request for comment for this report. While its owner is known for high-flying lifestyle of luxury cars and excessive residences, Burisma operates in the quiet, nondescript shadows and only lists an address in Cyprus where the company is registered. Now, that's kind of interesting because I happen to know that the Leviathan and the Tamar Israeli gas production fields, they actually send gas to Cyprus. So this is connecting Burisma of Ukraine to Cyprus. According to Christopher Hartwell, current fellow and former president of the Center for Social and Economic Research, CASE, in Warsaw, Registering in Cyprus is a common tactic of post-Soviet oligarchs. As Cyprus has some fantastic offshore tax benefits, it is the reason why Cyprus shows such high levels of foreign direct investment, which are really just piles of money passing through, he explained. It could be done to minimize tax liability. It could be done to access the European Union, or it could be done for money laundering. These are the top 3 reasons why Slavic companies register in Cyprus. Ukraine analysts also contend that while just about everything is in need of greater transparency, the country is rated 120 out of 180 of the Corruption Perceptions Index by Transparency International, and Hartwell stressed that the energy trade has always been the worst. The gas trade, for example, is how billions were siphoned off from the public and put into private hands, a problem which went on for years under the government's protection, he continued. Private energy firms are welcome in Ukraine as they provide much-needed competition against government monopolies. But given the heavy hand of government in every facet of energy, it's still too cozy world with ample opportunities for corruption. Furthermore, Paracci pointed out that historically, oil and gas was a business of people close to power, either central government or local governments. We have some cases of private companies non-related to power brokers or oligarchs, he said, but it is rather the exception. An oligarch is a few of the rich people surrounding the politics and the government, and they pretty much, with their wealth, control the top of the government. So an oligarch is one of these people, like what they're seizing the yachts of these wealthy Russians. Those are considered oligarchs that help to determine the outcome of what goes on in politics in Russia. And this is talking about the oligarchs of Ukraine. Another well-placed source connected to Ukraine's energy industry contended to Fox News that Biden came onto Burisma's board long after the questionable transactions occurred, and the industry overall has made vast improvements in terms of corruption in recent years. Sure, do you believe that? Burisma did what many companies do all around the world. They hire people with recognition, the source said. Burisma is a legitimate producer of oil and gas, present on the new liberalized market. We actively trade with them, buying and selling of gas, and they act in a professional commercial manner. The insider commenced working with Burisma in 2014, soon after Biden joined the board, but underscored that many were not personally aware he was even associated until it emerged in the press. Come on. You think we're all stupid? Ugh. I believe that my assistance in consulting the company on matters of transparency, corporate governance and responsibility, international expansion, and other priorities will contribute to the economy and benefit the people of Ukraine, Biden wrote in a release soon after joining the board in 2014. By inviting influential foreigners, Ukrainian business wants to get additional protection, PR, and lobby mechanisms to grasp additional spheres of interest. Having Hunter Biden on board, the owner of Burisma wanted to correct the image and to get cover because authorities were scared by the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, Igorov said. Hunter Biden, using the political capabilities of his family, acted as a rescue buffer between Burisma and Ukrainian law enforcement agencies. His work in the company of a corrupt official smells bad. But by 2017, Burisma announced that it was not encountering any active prosecution cases. It then inked a partnership with the Washington think tank, the Atlantic Council, centered on combating corruption efforts in Ukraine. And despite the investigations having been shuttered years ago, Burisma's days of being probed are perhaps not yet behind them. In October, the country's Prosecutor General, Ruslan Ryabovchapska, announced that his office would be reviewing the closed cases to ensure that they were appropriately handled. With the Burisma files still on the table, State Department official George Kent testified at the first public hearing of the House impeachment inquiry last week that since U.S. taxpayers are wasted, he would love to see the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office find who the corrupt prosecutor was that took the bribe and how much was paid. And it might interest you to know that there's a picture of former Vice President Mike Pence shaking hands with Volodymyr Zelensky. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky left, shakes hands with U.S. Vice President Mike Pence in Warsaw, Poland on Sunday, September 1st, 2019. So, what do we have here? We have a company that was involved in money laundering. They were involved in corruption. So were kept quiet and hushed up. And then all of the dealings with Hunter Biden sitting on the board of this natural gas company that's one of the largest there in Kiev. And now we've got this war and the Russians coming into Kiev. And Putin wants to do this massive Gazprom pipeline to get the gas, from Russia through Mongolia into China. And Israel is selling its natural gas through to Egypt and to Cyprus. And somehow this Ukrainian thing is connecting to Cyprus. Just think about all of this. And it's just revealing so much. And the treasonous traitors that got into the office of the presidency and are deeply involved in this natural gas situation that's going on. And I believe this is probably one of the reasons why Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine to come into Kiev, because he is all into the natural gas company and probably sees this corruption going on. So Hunter Biden and his father, they all have to know what they're doing. I mean, why else would the father, Joe Biden, shut down our major gas pipeline to cut us out as a leader in natural gas and not allow the drilling in the Alaskan oil fields? And he shuts down our pipeline first thing that he does when he becomes president. And then his son, before that, was sitting on the board of this Ukrainian company with the natural gas board of Burisma. Oh my gosh, this is just unbelievable, unreal. And in the past, this would have been high treason. And people were executed for high treason when they committed it with foreign entities and elevating foreign entities. So why aren't these people being held accountable is my question. And I don't want to make this video long, so I'm going to shut it down for now. But this is one more piece of the puzzle. Add to the last 3 videos. Go back and view those, and I hope that I'm giving you information. The Lord is just kind of trying to reveal this corruption and having it come forward, I believe. And also finding out that Russia is already, marketing Israel's Tamar gas field and has the huge ship that is liquefied natural gas, basically a factory on a ship where they can transport the natural gas. I don't know whether they, there's somebody that liquefies it, somebody that, produces the gas and then gets it transported into these other countries. So all of this is just very revealing, and I just kind of wonder what you think about it, because obviously everything that's gone on has been a gigantic new worthless order plot to try to bring down the American people, to try to crash our economy, and to try to take away our natural gas resources, by our very own President of the United States and his corrupt son, and no one's being held accountable. So let's just pray. Lord, God of Israel, I pray you reveal every corrupt person, every evil they've done behind the scenes, everything they're scheming, plotting, planning, every demonic thing that they've done. They're trying to put a yoke on the middle class of the American people that they do not deserve by raising gas prices where they can't travel because the climate change people don't want you to travel. They don't want carbons in the air. They want you to wear a mask for 2 years so all your carbons go back into your lungs and damage them instead of breathing them out in the air like God intended. These people are against God. They're working against God. And you know what? The King is coming. He is going to descend from heaven in flaming fire of judgment against these people. So putting it all together, what do you have? We are in our own spiritual warfare, and we've been battling this for many years now, trying to vote in a president that wasn't corrupt and not having anybody really great to choose from, and trying to do the best we can as voters. But you know, the whole thing is set up. The whole thing is diabolical. And now you can see how it's all being revealed before your eyes, leading to fulfillment of prophecy. Jesus is going to come, and those who are counteracting him are going to come under his judgment. So anyway, they're going to get what they deserve. Meanwhile, innocent people are being innocently, in the way of their plan and plot and schemes, and they're being killed. And God only knows what we're being shown. I mean, I turn on Fox News for one, and they keep repeating the same videos over and over and over and over. And it's just like, come on, shut it down. You don't need to see the same image over and over like some sort of brainwashing situation. So anyway, this is just my report for tonight. I hope I gave you a little bit more information that blows your mind and helps you to see what's really happening. So with that, I'll say good night.